now the former president fled the country. Afghans and foreign nationals have been trying to get on planes at Kabul airport, where international troops have been involved in evacuations. But security there is reported to be fragile. The latest developments came after the Taliban moved through one Afghan province after another in recent days and headed towards the capital. Our first report is from our diplomatic correspondent, Paul Adams.
Afghanistan has new masters. 20 years after their first experiment in power came to a shattering end, the Taliban are back, hours after arriving in Kabul, sitting at the president's desk. Earlier, at the same desk, President Ashraf Ghani clinging to the last fragments of power. But the man gazing down on Kabul's streets has gone, fleeing to neighboring Uzbekistan. In a Facebook post, he said he'd left to avoid bloodshed. As the Taliban moves in, the West moves out. American helicopters busy over Kabul all day today, ferrying diplomats from the US Embassy to the airport. This disorderly end was not the plan. Hundreds of British troops have now arrived in Kabul to help with the evacuation of thousands of British and Afghan civilians.
You should be wearing a mask at all times because we don't know where they're all coming from.
The operation is well underway. These troops may not be on the ground for long. Kabul is in chaos, people desperate to leave, taking what they can, fearing a bloody assault. There's little violence so far, but a lot of panic. Crowds descended on banks trying to take out their savings. As police officers and security officials abandoned their positions, the Taliban urged people to stay calm.
We want to avoid bloodshed and to destruction of properties of the people, and to not to give chance to plunderers, looters who are waiting for such moments to loot or plunder the properties of the people.
But the streets are full of dread. Tens of thousands of civilians displaced by fighting elsewhere, living out in the open, telling stories of abuses at the hands of the Taliban.
The Taliban came into our village in the night. After a few days, we managed to escape as they were murdering the men and boys. They accused them of being in the army or the police. They were taken out of their homes and murdered because they worked for the government.
Outside the capital, the Taliban are consolidating their grip on Afghanistan's major cities, like Herat, unfazed by their headlong success, which has government ministers reeling.
The saddest part is that I didn't expect this, but now I might face consequences that I never even dreamed of. And I guess that's the price that we pay for trying to make this world a little better.
At the border with Pakistan, Afghans are leaving. With or without fighting, the Taliban's takeover looks set to trigger yet another wave of refugees. Tonight at Kabul airport, military and civilian planes offer the only way out. At the gates, chaotic scenes. Who will leave and who will be left behind? Is this how the West's 20-year adventure in Afghanistan will be remembered? Paul Adams, BBC News.
Let's go live now to Kabul and the BBC's Malik Mudassar, who is there. What can you tell us, Malik, about the extent of the Taliban presence in the city?
Yes, as Taliban have taken all of the Afghanistan almost, now they are in Kabul city, and I could just see them from here that they are patrolling in the streets, and they are just keeping those government official vehicles and army and police vehicles they have captured from the forces here in Afghanistan. They are patrolling here, and they are just marking those places to where to put checkpoints and where to get the advantage point from.
And what is the effect of that, would you say, on the people of the city?
Well, that is very catastrophic. As soon as I landed this morning here in Kabul, the atmosphere of the city was entirely different. And there was a huge traffic jam in the Kabul city from the airport towards the outskirts of the Kabul city. And I could see the families kids, females, everyone with their belongings in the car, and they were trying to get out of the city, and they were just look depressed, devastated and defeated.
Malik Mudassar in Kabul, thank you very much. Well, here the Prime Minister chaired an emergency Cobra meeting this afternoon, and Parliament is being recalled to discuss the situation. Boris Johnson said the immediate priority is to evacuate British citizens and Afghans who have been working with the UK. Here's our political correspondent Ben Wright.
For 20 years, the UK has committed its military, money and lives to Afghanistan. Some of the fiercest fighting was here in Helmand. The effort ends with a frantic scramble to get out.
The situation in Afghanistan continues to be extremely difficult, getting more difficult, I would say. And our priority is to make sure that we deliver on our obligations to UK nationals in Afghanistan, to all those who have helped the British effort in Afghanistan over 20 years, and to get them out as fast as we can.
UK troops first went to Afghanistan in October 2001 after the 9/11 attacks, joining US-led action against al-Qaeda and the Taliban. By the time combat operations ended in 2014, 454 UK soldiers and military personnel had died. Successive prime ministers stressed their commitment to the country and protecting the progress made. Today, cross-party fear that progress could vanish.
The real danger is that we're going to see every female MP murdered. We're going to see ministers strung up on street lamps, and this is the decision that I'm afraid has been taken. We haven't heard from the Foreign Secretary in about a week, despite this being the biggest single foreign policy department disaster, since Suez.
It's been a catastrophic miscalculation. That is absolutely clear. The UK and the United States both overestimated the capacity of the Afghan government to hold off the Taliban and underestimated the capacity of the Taliban to advance throughout the country. And that has been clear actually for days.
The UK says its mission in Afghanistan had to end once the US announced its decision to leave, despite the consequences. It's a mark of the crisis that MPs and peers will be brought back from their summer break on Wednesday for a day's debate. Many are livid about the way Afghanistan is being left. But talking here won't stop the Taliban, and all MPs can do is ask ministers how a humanitarian and security disaster might be avoided. For James Kyle, today is difficult. He was a captain in the Light Dragoons, served in Afghanistan in 2007 and 2009, the year the regiment lost 6 of its soldiers.
It's incredibly sad to see the change happen so quickly after years and years of incredibly hard work from remarkable armed services